Recording now.
Okay. Hello, my name is Jane Limback, and I have the privilege of introducing today's webinar, Mentoring Pre-Service Teachers. Today's webinar will feature a powerful practice at CUC's Early Childhood Education Center. This webinar is being produced by Concordia University, Wisconsin's Office of Continuing and Distance Education. We thank our friends at Concordia for their leadership and support in this endeavor. I have just a few notes before we begin this webinar. Live webinars are participatory events. We appreciate your questions and comments. Feel free to express yourself by typing in the chat box in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. All of the webinars presented this year are available on demand through the NLSA tab on the new luthed.org and also through the LCMS School Ministry YouTube channel. If you like what was shared, we invite you to view a recorded webinar together with your faculty, as this is a great opportunity for professional development. Another great resource of Lutheran schools is the LCMS School Ministry Facebook page. Our Facebook page provides another opportunity for our school to connect informally. We invite you to share your encouraging stories on the LCMS School Ministry Facebook page. Let's begin this webinar with prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we acknowledge you as our Savior and our King and give you thanks for the opportunity to serve you in our various schools. We thank you for all of our Lutheran schools, but especially give you thanks for Concordia Chicago Early Childhood Education Center. We thank you for blessing this institution with a fantastic staff who work hard to draw children and their families into our closer relationship with our Savior, Jesus Christ. We ask that you would continue to shower your blessings upon the staff and students at CUC. Give the staff all that they need to teach the students entrusted in their care. And finally, Lord, we ask that you be with those who are presenting this webinar, as well as those who are participating in this webinar. May this next hour be a blessing to all. In your name we pray, amen. At this time, I would like to introduce Doris Knuth and Michelle Gannon from Concordia Chicago as they shared the webinar entitled Mentoring Pre-Service Teachers, Making Connections to Quality Early Childhood Education.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you very much. And thank you for joining us on this webinar this afternoon. I'd like to just be able to show and tell you a little bit about what we do at our Early Childhood Center to help support those students in the education program and how do we support our teachers in our center as well. Well, the Early Childhood Center is located on the first floor of the Christopher Center, and we are home to approximately 200 families and about 225 children. We do run an all-day, full-year program from infants to an after-school program, as well as some part-time preschool opportunities, too. We just completed 40 years of service to our children and families, and we are looking forward to the next 40 years. We've been very blessed in everything that we've been able to do and look forward to continue sharing those gifts of God to others. Our center is known as a lab school, and that makes us understand that we are available for students who are enrolled in at the Concordia University and other universities and schools around the area for observation hours and class requirements. These observation hours, sometimes those students just need to come down and just take a look at how the classroom is run, and then sometimes they need to take a look at specific things children are doing, whether in math or science or literacy, whatever the topic that the class that they're in requires. Students from our undergrad, our graduate, as well as our doctoral programs utilize our center for these assignments on implementation and observation. Students from our university also and other programs come to gain firsthand experience with children. This includes area colleges and universities as well as some resident doctors working on their pediatrics rotations at a local teaching hospital. It's interesting to see those doctors coming in and not have a lot of experience with young children, and they gain so much understanding being with them for the morning. And they range in age from they start with our infants and go all the way up to our 4- and 5-year-olds. We're also available to other early childhood centers and their staff for them to come into our program to learn more about our curriculum and our philosophy. We also provide work opportunities for students on campus as well. Most of the students are education majors, but that's not a requirement here. They quickly learn how easily it is to become connected with the children and the importance of what our staff do for families every day. We also on campus are part of the Early Childhood Initiative, and that is a program that is supported by the university, and it provides support to other early childhood centers who are looking for ways to begin or maintain a quality program. The center utilizes this program, and we give other centers professional development support for staff in the areas of curriculum, environments, assessments, as well as giving assistance and mentoring to new directors as well as seasoned directors. This program shares with these centers the tools that the Early Childhood Center at Concordia have done. So first of all, I want to talk a little bit about classroom observation and procedures. We really want to be able to show people what we do in our center, but we also need to let them know that this is a place of work, and we need to also respect our staff and the children in our center as well. So one of our goals is to help children get the best out of their time here when they come for observations. So we're looking to help them understand our center as a professional place. In order to do that, we do have some policies and procedures for classroom observations that are in place. Those policies and procedures help us prepare for visitors coming into our classroom. It also prepares those students who are looking for observation hours and time to do activities, time to think ahead and plan for that as well. So we do make sure that we respect my staff and the schedules that they have in place for their students. And so students coming in to do observations are basically looking for times to do that observation when it's necessary. It's like if they're going to come and see a large group activity or some literacy activity, that's going to be part of our whole day. It's not like we're going to say, oh, we have an observer, let's do a literacy activity right now. So we want them to understand how all of these subjects are integrated within our program throughout the day. We also need to help those students understand our center as a professional workplace. We do expect them to be respectful of our teachers and our students when they come in to the center, and be respectful of, they would love to be asking teachers questions as they go along, and our teachers are working really hard to help that happen. But sometimes the students, our children in the center come first. So we help those observation students to understand that they are coming into our office, our place of work. We ask them to come in with as little disruption as possible for those children in the center, but as we know, children will always want to ask who you are, why are you here, let me show you what I'm building, and we do encourage them to make connections with those children. They're going to come up and say, what's your name? And we want to be able to have them talk to you as well. So some of the procedures that we have in place require our students to give us a 24-hour notice for observations. And in some cases, it's hard for college kids to just, can't assume that they just can't come in and observe whenever they want. And to also understand that when they're coming in to observe something specific, they need to take a look at the whole environment to make sure that they can glean from that environment what specific things are they looking for. So 24-hour notification is one of our requirements. We also want to help them understand that they are in a professional place, so we let them know that they are not to go onto their cell phones. They don't bring in food or pop or anything or drink in the classrooms. And we don't, because we are a licensed facility, we can't take photos of children's faces. So if they're using, our parents do sign a waiver for students coming in, but if they're doing it for a classroom is one thing, but they can't take these photos and show them to their roommates or show them to other friends that they have. And it's a strict confidentiality policy that we do follow, and all students that come to our center do read and sign that policy. We're very specific and strict about making sure that what happens in the center is used only for the purpose that it's supposed to be used for. Once they do come in, they do sign in. We know what class they're in. We get the time that they're going to be here. We give them a visitor sticker, and then they also need to sign out when they are done with their observations. But what we really want the students to do when they're here is we want them to be called what I call active observers. Active observers are people who watch children, but really pay more attention to what they're doing and why. We want them to learn, we want those college students to learn from what children are playing and how they're playing, and to glean from that information as they grow and learn. So we really want them to listen to children's conversation with each other. Why are they building that structure that way? Why are they asking those questions? What's frustrating about something that's not working? And to give them a chance, give the children a chance to work it out. But if those students say, hey, if the children ask, can you help us with this? We want them to be a part of that help. But also, we want them to understand not so much what they're doing, but the why of their doing. What is their goal? What are their objectives? What kind of language are they using? Are they questioning? Is it math language you're hearing? Is it developing? Is it science? Is it social studies? Is there something that they're doing? And get all that information. It's amazing how much you can learn from children just by listening. But we also want to invite those observers to become a part of what children are doing also, so that they can understand how their play represents children's learning and development. We also, and when teachers are available to answer questions, we will do everything we possibly can to help them do that as well. Now, we also hire students to work in our center, and I call them the other children in our center. We would not be able to do the work we do without the other students. They're like student workers on campus, but we call them our lab students because they work within a lab setting. Students, in order to have a job here, do apply online. They are scheduled in classes anywhere from 10 to 18 hours a week. We hire approximately 80 students. Most of them are getting their training in the classroom right on the job. We are not fortunate to hire them before the center opens so that we can train them. So a lot of times in the beginning of the semester, when they start their job here, their first day on the job is their training. So they're really basically getting a lot of valuable hands-on experience with children. Most of our students that we hire are education majors, but it's not a requirement for what we do here. We have a strong mentoring program as we help those lab students know why our classrooms are designed the way? Why are we giving them the opportunities to make those choices? What is it that we're learning? What kinds of things can we bring and to make that job just much more exciting? We do encourage those lab students to make connections to the children as soon as possible, knowing their names right away, getting down at their level, playing with them, helping them understand the whys and the wherefore for the equipment that we have out for them, and as well as understanding how to help children maneuver that whole social and emotional piece in a classroom setting, and how we positively help those children make right choices. And in some cases, I think most of us are always, the students come to us with an understanding about how they were raised, and if that's the same way we deal with children here. And in some cases it's the same, in some places it might be different. But we do a lot of role playing. We do a lot of those jobs so they can see what we are doing and how we get to a situation of helping children make a right choice, calming children down if they're upset, helping children use their words when they're upset or angry. So they see us modeling that, and then we in turn want to give them the ability to model that as well. We also want to help our lab students stay focused on what's appropriate for children's learning. And so when they're here on the job, they are here in the moment, on the job, being a part of the teaching team. That being said, we also do a lot of sharing of responsibilities. So we get the fun part of playing with children, the fun part of building a tower, the fun part of out in the playground doing those things, but we also share the responsibilities of changing the diapers if we need to, picking up spilt milk after breakfast or lunch, helping them work through the whole social navigation of trying to get the toy they really want. And so we're all working together as a team, whether it's getting ready for meals, whether it's helping them calm down after a very active morning and rest their bodies. We all sit and listen to the music and read to them and calm them down. It's a part of we work together as a team. We want the lab students to understand that this job is something that teachers do, but it's not that we're just going to let the lab students do the job that's less fun. We all want to do the fun part. We just also want them to understand that part of being a teacher is the fun part. The other part of being a teacher is the not so fun part. So because most of our children are education majors, this is really helping them gain some insight into what they are doing in their classrooms. It's helping to bring the theory behind education right down into the practice level. It's very interesting to see and to see what they think, how to organize a lesson or an activity. But once they really understand what children's learning is at and what age they're working on, it's going to help them develop that a little bit more clearly and make that activity more fun for everyone. So we want to help them also enjoy what they do here. Being a teacher is hard work. It's exhausting at times. You need a lot of patience and a lot of understanding about different children's relationships, each of the children's development, each child's understanding language, families, all of that plays into it. And it can be hard sometimes. And so we really want those students that we hire to understand that we are all working here together to do the best for children. Our motto in most cases is children come first. So whatever that looks like, that's what we need to do for those children. We were also licensed by our licensing reps in Illinois, DCFS, and so those regulations are extremely important and vital to keeping us running smoothly. So we also make sure that those students know exactly what we need to do in all of those procedures. What are our diapering procedures, hand washing procedures? How do we serve food? What's the best way to get children to understand their relationships? And so those are what we work with, but we will do it in a guidance policy for our children, as well as helping our lab students understand what is the right way to say stop running. It's more like, let's use our walking feet. Let's use our hands for helping. What other things can we do to help you solve this problem? So a lot of problem solving, a lot of redirection is, and our guidance policy is things that we are helping our lab students understand and be able to utilize that in their classrooms. As we learn more about our lab students, there are areas that sometimes we know that they need some help. Part of it is where is the line drawn between how involved can those students become, and where we would like them to be involved. And so at the beginning of our enrollment process, we have lots of paperwork they have to fill out, but we do evaluate our students every semester. And with that evaluation, we let them know what that looks like at first. And in that evaluation, we list areas like their dispositions. How are they, do they like the job? How are they with following through with activities? What they come to the classroom being engaged and happy and excited? Or do they look like they're really enjoying fun, enjoying themselves and having fun? We also look for their interactions between children, also between our staff, but also between other lab students in the center. We want to also find out what their professional habits are. Are they on time? Do they dress appropriately? Do they, if they are sick or can't come, are they letting us know those things? Those professional things that they will need when they get onto the job. And we will utilize this assessment at the end of each semester. Now, if we have a lab student that is probably not gotten into the whole feel of, well, this is fun, I'm having a good time, we will sit down with them halfway through, go through that evaluation and that assessment piece and say, these are some things that we're looking for. Let me know what you need help with so you can feel more comfortable talking to them, reading to them, getting integrated into their play. Ask questions. We always want them to ask questions so that they can come and, if they have a problem, they can find the answer and then have a good part of their day. So it's a basic understanding and creating a community of collaboration and keeping those lines of communication over between the staff and the lab students too. Those students also make very close connections to the children in our programs, and in some cases in our neighborhood end up as pretty decent babysitters for parents who are looking for some sitters over the weekend. Our children become incredibly connected to their lab students as well and develop very close connections to that, and that really helps them out too. So there are roles and responsibilities, and it works both ways. We, as a center, have a responsibility to our lab students to help them succeed. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that a number of pieces are in place so that those students who are coming to work for us are comfortable. First, we need to make sure that we provide a quality experience within this natural setting. We want to make them feel comfortable. We want to make them to ask questions. We want them to understand why things are the way they are. Why are we having pine cones in the sensory table, or why are we using mud out in the playground? So we want to be able to help them understand that. We also want to give the students the information they need and support anything that they don't understand. so that they can get the best out of it. If we do not give them all the information that they need to be successful in that job, that's something that's on us. That is something we need to own. We just can't make the assumption that they know what to do without us giving them, how do we help them wash their hands? How do we help them sit down for their meals and utilize sharing, sharing their time at the table and those kinds of things. So we really want to be able to give them all the information so that they know what they need to do. Now, we also have the responsibilities on the lab students too. So their responsibilities, along with filling out all their paperwork, making sure they fill out their timesheets to get paid, make sure they're here on time. We also want to make sure that they are actively engaged in children at all times. We also want them to be responsible for their work hours. So when there are times where they have a class activity that prevents them from coming to work, then they need to give us a call, find somebody to fill in this time spot for them, just make sure that that's covered. And the students we hire are excellent at making sure that they are not just leaving us without any help or assistance. We also want them to consider this as a learning environment and to be asking questions and to maintain a close relationship to other lab students, staff, and also the parents too. But we also need them to understand that there's a fine line between a student, helper, and the teachers. And so when parents come in and ask questions, we encourage them to say, you know what, that's a good question, that your teacher's here and they could help you. Once, last year, we knew that we wanted to make sure that at least in the infant and toddler room, we were able to get that information to infants and toddlers as best as we possibly can. And so we ended up putting together a video for them to watch, and it's required for them to watch before they start work. And I would like to show you that video right now. I will be setting it up. This video is put together by some teachers and also some of our education students who are and some of our children in our center that ended up in this video as well.
Welcome to the Early Childhood Education Center team. Before you begin work, new lab students must provide a photo ID and original Social Security card, complete all hiring forms and a background check, register on the When to Work scheduling system via your email prompt. Returning lab students must complete the payroll authorization form.
Our lab students are special apprentices of quality early care. We stay in sync with NACCE, DCFS, and the Illinois Early Learning Guidelines. Our number one goal is that you actively learn best practices with babies, toddlers, lab students, teachers, and parents in a way that reflects what we believe about learning. Learning happens through responsibly supported interactions with people, the environment, and things in the environment. Learning begins with one small experience. More interactions allow the prior experience to grow, connections like branches and roots. More connections are attached, and the prior experience becomes big, strong, and full. This is what the child knows. There are 5 important domains of care and learning in the SKU curriculum. We document the progression of this learning in each of the domains of the SKU curriculum. S stands for Social Spiritual Development. Social spiritual development is all about fostering faith, executive function, and trusting relationships. We help children develop these concepts by being available to them and sharing God's love. We find ways to make connections between the child and location, time, and people.
Show me you care about my feelings. Help me learn names of my feelings and validate them. Explore new places with me every morning and every afternoon. Model your faith relationship for me.
C is for communication arts. Communication arts is all about fostering receptive and expressive communication skills. We help children develop these concepts by becoming competent in spoken and graphic interchange. We find ways to make connections between symbols, vocabulary, and meaning.
I ask questions by putting it in my mouth, staring at it, or trying to get to it. Help me find ways to answer my questions. Show me you are happy to be with me. Get on my level with eye contact and a smile. Teach me new words.
E stands for expressive arts. It's all about fostering an appreciation for music, drama, and the fine arts. We help children develop these concepts by investigating different mediums in different ways. We find ways to make connections between the language of the self and fine arts.
Teach me songs, dances, and finger plays. Role play with me and teach me to pretend.
Let me teach you what I know. Let me lead.
Explore different skills with me that will help me create.
W stands for wellness. It's all about fostering an understanding of the body and a healthy lifestyle. We help children develop these concepts by understanding and respecting the body. We find ways to make connections between good habits, self-regulation, and choices. Large muscle play is essential and is closely supervised to prevent injury.
Keep me in your line of sight, even if I don't know you are there. Be positive and responsible when I'm thirsty, hungry, need to move my body, or need a quiet space. Sit with me at meals, teach me table habits, and talk about where food comes from. Keep one hand on me when diapering, talk to me, and make eye contact. Continually challenge me to try new skills, exercise in every space.
D stands for discovery. It is the fostering of science, technology, math, and engineering. We help children develop these concepts by exploring how to use hands, feet, fingers, and toes. We find ways to make connections between tools, words, and actions. Sensory experiences and manipulatives are essential and are closely supervised to prevent choking hazards at all times.
Observe what I'm interested in. Teach me to use tools. Keep me engaged.
Give me lots of chances to squish, swipe, and pour.
We are community individuality. Service for you and me. Excellence CUC.
So that video was made for the early childhood, the infant program, infant and toddler program, but it does also work for the older children as well. Brenda, you had a question about the on-the-job training and if it counts for training hours needed for licensing. Our lab students that work here for licensing are education majors, and so those classes, they get the transcripts from those classes, will work for them for those hours that they need. But they do go online to do their SBS, SIDS, and then their food handling, and their mandated report is online as well. The students that we hire will also, because of a state part of Gateway's opportunity, are on there as well. So we do encourage them to come to the Early Childhood Conference to get hours for that too, but that's how we get both of those. So I hope that helps. It was interesting to put together that slide to help the children tell us what it is that they want. And I think that's part of something that we need to always be careful of, is just understanding what children want and what we can give them, and listening. That's that part of that active investigation piece. So the other piece that we do is to support university coursework at our center. Many classes do require students to come down for hands-on experiences, and we want to make sure that we give them the best possible experience too. So sometimes the teachers will have their classes coming down as a whole, and we divide them up into different rooms. And other times, those classes do come down individually and go into classes at the time that they have free in their schedule. We want our faculty, and we do encourage them to come to our center to take a look at how we do things here, what it is that we do, so that they can be able to make sure that the time they have down here is exactly what they're looking for. And then we also need the students to understand what is expected in observations. So if somebody is coming down to see a science lesson, we won't stop what we're doing in the classroom to say, oh, okay, we need to do a science lesson. We need them to come down and say, take a look at the environment, watch these children. What discoveries, what scientific questions are they asking? And have them glean that from their play, whether it's connected to a project or it's something that they're just doing. But our staff also take interest in these classroom assignments. We do encourage to see a copy of what these assignments would look like before they come down, so that we can kind of give them some helpful hints in order to make that a good experience for them. Case in point, a few years ago, one of the students upstairs was coming down to do a social studies lesson and wanted to do something on maps. And she was going to a 3- and 4-year-old classroom talking about community, and one question was she was going to give them a piece of paper and have them draw a picture of their community, which in some cases we felt that community is a pretty broad term, and we needed to just kind of bring it into something a little bit more concrete. So we gave the student a suggestion to give the children a clipboard and a marker and to go outside in the playground and draw a map of our playground, so that they could see where it is. And she would do it in small groups, and they would go and they would talk about different things, and then she would help them label it. And it turned out for her to be a very good lesson. Those children really got to understand what mapping was all about. But the interesting piece to that story was a few weeks later, that same class was going across campus to go to the cafeteria for lunch. And one of the children wanted to draw a map of going from the center to the cafeteria. So she got the piece of paper out, and she drew a place where the center was, and then she drew a long path, like a long squiggly line, and then she drew another big triangle, and in that big triangle she drew a lot of smaller triangles. And so she labeled the big triangle as where the cafeteria is, and those smaller triangles were the tables where we sit down to eat, and then the path was how we walk there, and then the other triangle was the rectangle was the building where we're at. So that child really connected to that activity of drawing the playground that happened a number of weeks before, and I ended up taking a Xerox copy of it, and I went and found that student who was going to be student teaching the next semester. And I said, this is what your activity did for that child. She remembered that math process that you were making and decided to make her own. And it's experiences like that that we can really help those students that are in education understand what it looks like prior to being in there and student teaching. We want them to help them make a connection between that theory and that practice. It looks very good, sometimes it looks great on paper, but you really need to also come down and take a look at what it looks like for in the classroom. So we also then will ask students to take a look at our environment and talk a little bit about what we do and how that environment can help their lesson plan if they need to come down again. And that really makes those students feel much more comfortable. What I'd like to do now, I'm going to move this over to Michelle Denan, who's our Director of the Early Childhood Initiative here on campus, and she's going to talk a little bit about how that initiative has been supporting those pre-service teachers, the lab students we have, our students in our center, as well as other centers in the area.
Hello, thank you, Doris. My name is Michelle Janan, and I am the Executive Director for Concordia University Chicago's Christian Early Childhood Initiative. 1 year ago, Concordia started the Early Childhood Initiative with the intent of bringing what we do here on campus in our center out into the community to early childhood centers. So what we are working on now is documenting our research and our mentoring programs we have here in the center and bringing that out to Christian early childhood centers in order to establish partnerships. So we are establishing these partnerships with centers that are freestanding or are held within an elementary school, and we are bringing to them professional development programs and curriculum that has been developed here on campus. The curriculum we're developing was mentioned in the video that's presented to our lab students, and it's the same curriculum that our teachers have been practicing here for probably 20 years. So we are in the developmental stages of documenting this and publishing it. Our support here on campus will be provided to partner schools. As we establish relationships, we'll be able to offer all of the services that Concordia has in establishing a program for schools to improve teaching standards and to bring best practices into their early childhood classrooms. So the services Concordia would be providing are online coursework and entrance into graduate courses. We would also provide professional development at centers as opposed to everyone coming here to our campus. We would bring that out to the community. These are just a few of the services that we are developing right now, and we are looking to expand our initiative within the next year to include 5 to 10 partner schools. So thank you. That's a little bit about our initiative and what we have going on here at Concordia. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. So with the work that the initiative is doing, our center is a part of that as well. So we are working with them in upgrading and kind of rewording a little bit of the curriculum that we've had and make it a little bit more user-friendly and current. But we also want to make sure that we are looking to the future. We want to be able to support the College of Education with that face-to-face experiences and we wanted to make sure that we are helping to prepare university students for a successful student teaching semester. So those are some things that we want to continue, and I know that the initiative will be something that will help us out as well. We want to be able to utilize what we do in the classroom and then hopefully bring some of that up to those classrooms upstairs, as hopefully utilizing our staff and maybe even some of our students as guest visitors in, let's say, early childhood methods classes, and be able to bring some activities up for those students to interact with us in that way. And also to help the professors understand what our philosophy and what our curriculum looks like here. We want to respect those children's learning, and we want to be able to do this in a way that children will feel comfortable and feel that they do come first. And what we do here is we've just been blessed to be able to be here and watch them grow and learn. We also want to be able to understand what our teachers' responsibility is. They have a hard job. They're in the classrooms. Those children that are here all day, it's a long day for some of them. So we want to be able to support our staff with and helping them understand that what they do in the classroom, and they know in their hearts that what they do in the classroom is important. We want other people to see how important it is too. And in order for them to see how important it is, we need them to come and take a look at that, or we need to bring that to other centers and let them see that as well. So it's a challenge. We're trying to prepare these students for a career as an early childhood professional, not just a preschool teacher. And we need them to go out into that workforce with that understanding that they are professionals, and that this job is very important in what these children will do once they age out of our program or of any early childhood program and go on to the grade schools and beyond. It's a challenge, and we want them to see what that looks like. I think a lot of students who want to come and work here, they'll say, oh, I want to get a job on campus. I'm going to go to the early childhood center. That can't be that hard. And then they realize that, yeah, it's a lot of things to think about. So we want them to say, but this is good stuff. This is all wonderful opportunities to see children grow and learn and to continue on with what they need to be successful. I did put some time aside if you have any questions that you would like to ask us. We're here all the time, so I appreciate that. And if there are no questions, then I want to thank everybody very much for your time. And I do appreciate all the work Todd has done to help me and Michelle through this. I appreciate that, and your time on this lovely and gorgeous afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Doris and Michelle, for your presentation. We appreciate all of the work that you've put into this webinar, and also, Todd, we thank you too for your work. We just, once again, want to remind you that we have another Powerful Practices webinar scheduled for March 14th, and this will be highlighting the topic, Cultivating Beyond Our Congregation, Building Bridges into the Community. So be looking for more information on this webinar, and again, you can access other past webinars on the luthed.org website under the NLSA tab. So God's blessings to you as you all continue to serve our Savior as professional educators in our Lutheran schools. Thank you, and you guys have a blessed night.
Hey, Doris, good job. I knew you could do it.
Thank you, Todd. Couldn't do it without you.
Yeah, well, it's okay. You did fine. You did fine.
Well, I get nervous. My New York accent comes out.
And that's okay. That's all right. I'm sure New York driving is a lot more stressful than doing a presentation.
Well, and we have a motto in driving in New York City: never brake.
Never break.
Never brake. Just a
well,
heads up if you want to go driving in Manhattan.
Yeah. Well, you did fine. I understand that you were nervous and stuff like that, but you did fine. You blew up the, you did the video just great. Yeah, you did perfect.
I know,
Just wanted to
right?
let you know. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Hey, no worries. All right, you guys have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Todd.
You too.
All right, thank you. Talk to you guys later.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.